Call this meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. Welcome to the Borough of Swiftville regular council meeting for January 6, 2025. Let's go through our roll call. Ms. Alfonso Wells is not yet here. Mr. Haynes.
Present.
Mr. Miser.
Here.
Mr. Quinn.
Present.
Ms. Stribling, I have been notified, is on her way, so she should be here any minute. Ms. Swartzwelder. Here. Mayor Swartzwelder. Here. Great. So public comment, before we get to the public comment, this meeting is going to look a little bit different. Oftentimes our January legislative meetings are very simple, where we just either do reorganization or we do, the minutes and pay bills, but we have a number of discussion and voting items that we're going to be doing tonight. So the way that we're going to order things after public comment is we are going to go through our discussion items. And then if you're watching, well, I guess not from home, if you're watching from here, the cafeteria at Dixon, the ones that we are going to be voting on are bold and italicized on the agenda. If you would like to speak on one of those issues, based off of what we say before we vote, we're going to allow another space for public comment. There will be another sheet that is put out that once the discussion items are concluded, we will have a second public comment for agenda items only. And then we will get to our actual council actions, the motions that we will be voting on. So that will be forthcoming. But let's begin with our public comment. First, we have Barbara Grabowski to speak about the active transportation plan.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I am Barbara Grabowski with the Active Transportation Plan. Just wanted to give you all an update. We have 9 more days before the survey closes. So there's still time to take the survey, get your friends and neighbors to take the survey. As of today, we have 238 responses. We're really hoping to get that 400.
How many?
400.
All right. Let's get it done, folks.
We aim high. We want to hear what people think about getting around and to and through Swiftville. And we really want to hear from as broad a range of people as possible. About 600 people are going to the survey and saying, oh, what's this? Maybe going all the way through it, but for whatever reason aren't clicking submit. So there's interest, but what we really want is people to submit their answers. We have this week at the library on Wednesday morning in the senior center will be sort of open office hours. We'll have our laptops there so people can take the survey on the spot, have the questions, we'll have the map that people can mark on that map. We've had that map a couple of places, including at Light of Night. And we had a lot of people at Light of Night were very interested. So we're hoping we'll get a response on Wednesday and also Thursday evening upstairs in the main library, open office hours. And we really want to thank the library for doing so much to make this process work, from posting the public meeting in December to putting together a little survey a flyer that you can see on the library website. It's been on their website, in their weekly newsletter, and then obviously hosting us this week. So we really want to thank the library for their contributions. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Barb.
Thank you very much. All right, let's move on to our discussion items. The first item on here is item A, discuss fire department hiring. I don't know if Chief Wilhelm or Mr. Bakshi would like to just give introductory comments.
Fire committee met week before Christmas, I think on the 19th, and interviewed 5 potential part-time firefighters who Mr. Chief Wilhelm and Assistant Chief Volpe had vetted prior to coming in to meet with the fire committee. The fire committee recommended we hire all 5 of them. They're part-time positions. It's wages only. There's no healthcare or other benefits. This will take our roster up to, I believe, 21 in fire department. And basically, as I said in the memo, basically it doesn't matter if we have 10 firefighters in the roster, 50, budget's the same. There's only a certain number of shifts available. This helps us fill the shifts though, so that we'll have some more people who were interested in working. We're asking you to ratify the hiring of all of them because the committee recommended that, or instructed us to go ahead and get them on board and bring them in and start working. And all 5 of them have worked at least one shift up to this point. But for paperwork reasons, we need to ratify their hirings. And at this point, Chief Wilhelm, do you have anything you want to add?
No, just so everybody's aware, we've generally maintained a roster at up to 24, so we're still a little below what our maximum has been. And we think this will be suitable to help us eliminate much of the overtime that we have.
I mean, the resumes all looked great. I was not part of the interview process, but going through the applications and resumes, looks like you got some great workers. Any other comments? Yeah, go ahead.
As a member of the committee, I did participate in several of the interviews. I think you did an excellent job getting us the best candidates. I think they have a lot of potential. I think a lot of them are already ready to take over, which is great. I think we have, there's a lot of potential in this group, in this class. So thank you for that. I encourage my fellow council people to ratify that vote. We weren't easy on. We asked tough hardball questions.
Any other questions or comments? All right, let's move on to item 4B, discuss a final payment agreement with Gilberry and Associates for the Borough Building demolition.
As everyone's aware, Gilberry and Associates was low bidder to demolish the former borough building. There's been some disagreements on the final payment with them because they were late, 93 days late in completing. There were some materials that they removed from the site they weren't supposed to remove, that we were seeking compensation for, and there were some overages on the inspection for the asbestos. We have negotiated an agreement with them, and we discussed this in executive session last month. They are willing to accept a final payment of $36,000, which would be a penalty of $21,986 from the borough that will more than cover any damages that we incur. And also, they have to sign a mutual release agreement that they will not come back to us in the future for any additional funds or sue us or anything else. So I'd recommend that we place it on the agenda and end this with them because it's been about a year since the demolition was completed. We'd like to get it paid out and be on to the next step.
Any comments?
Just real quick, I mean, I am not satisfied with the product, but this gets us done and moving on. And I know we can't influence him making his subcontractors whole, but I would encourage him to make his subcontractors whole and be realistic on what their actual burdens were. And delays were, which were not their fault. So I will vote for this, but I'm not satisfied with the product or the service.
All right, let's move on. Item 4C, discuss climate resilience plan committee.
Yes, the Allegheny County Health Department has, as we talked about, I think it's September meeting. They've come to us and asked us if we would participate in this climate resilience plan. Basically, it's the next step after the climate action plan that was done last year, or maybe it's 2 years ago. And to look to try to implement some projects. If we do this climate resilience plan, they will give us a one-time stipend of $5,000, along with they will participate in a cleanup with us next year, valued at about $7,500, where they bring people and equipment in to help clean storm sewers, sanitary sewers, if there's junk and places where there's legal dumping, so they're doing all this. But they want us to participate in this climate resilience plan along with a number of other municipalities in Mon Valley. And they're asking us to appoint a climate resilience committee. They're only asking for 6 members or so. And what they suggested, staff members, they suggested council members and some committee public. I reached out to Sedco and Rotary to ask if they had anybody that were willing to participate in this. And Rotary had responded that Rebecca Burgett would be interested in, and Sedco had responded that Robert Rogers and Ashley Martin would be interested. And I would also recommend that myself, Mr. D'Ambrosio, and I have myself.
And yourself twice.
Double duty. And just for, to hit Sarah with this and Ms. Ansel, part, but also, as the staff members. And then I'd like to ask one to two council members, right? Probably will extend, yes. Kevin,
Yeah, I'd offer the chair as well.
everybody okay with Fred and Kevin?
For this, not personally.
Okay, so we'll be appoint the committee, and they said this is gonna be like 3 meetings, over the next 3 months. It's not a huge commitment. I think they have a boilerplate template, and they tried to tailor it to the municipality. You know, and it's very, and anybody else is welcome to participate in those meetings too. Sean looks sad. Sean looks sad like.
She's missing out on meetings.
Yep.
Connecting on that phone. We'll get there, yeah. Are any other comments about the climate resilience plan? All right, let's move on to 4D, discuss participation in South Hills DUI task force.
We've been a member of the South Hills DUI Task Force for a number of years. And I will turn it over to Chief Watson to explain what it does, you know, what we do with them and the reason they're asking us to renew this.
The reason we joined the South Hills DUI Task Force years ago is they rolled the grant money for aggressive driving and the pedestrian safety into the DUI Task Force grant money, because those are all funded by grant money. Several years ago, which forced our hand that we had to join a DUI task force. So we did that, and this is a memorandum of understanding, renewing our part of that organization, so we can receive that grant money, continue to receive that grant money to do those extra details for traffic safety.
What does that typically entail? Those details?
The pedestrian that we did in town.
So do it here.
No, well, yes, that grant money, now, the DUI task force, we do have the opportunity, some members can go out and do that with them. At different locations, but most of the reason we do it is because the aggressive driver and, we do get the DUI roving patrols that we do in town. And the pedestrian crosswalk stuff we've done in the past in town, all comes from that organization. So to continue to do that with grant money, yeah, we have to renew our membership. Organization.
Sounds good. Any questions or comments?
And I know people ask why we don't have a DUI checkpoint in Swissville. You have to have a state road. We don't have a state road, so we can't do that. But we do receive several $1,000s of money that we use for those extra items that, you know, doesn't cost us anything.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just to clarify too, that all the costs associated with this are reimbursed. So if there's no cost to us, we get reimbursed for everything we do. Plus, as the chief said, we get a few extra $1,000 to help us do some other things.
Sounds good. Let's move on to 4E, discuss the Mbembo lot consolidation plan on Noble Street.
So this is 2115 and 2117 Noble Street that we've been dealing with for 3 years, I believe. The owner has applied for and received a demolition permit. As of now, there's been no progress on that. We do have a magistrate hearing in March, where, you know, we need to report back that this building is down. So hopefully it will be. But what they want to do is combine the two lots, because in order to provide a side entrance to the second floor on 2115, which they hope to rehabilitate, it will go over onto the lot at 2117, which violates borough zoning ordinance. They did appear before the planning commission on December 12th. The planning commission reviewed this and recommended the council approve this. Once it's approved, then they can go ahead and reform the plan. It'll become one lot, and then they can get their building permit to do that. They can't get the building permit until this plan is approved, because we can't issue a building permit in violation of our own ordinance. But would recommend approval of it. I mean, they did have a surveyor do the plan, so which I have here. So they did have the surveyor do it. They've done everything they're supposed to as far as this project goes. So I recommend approval.
Just a couple of things on this. I know I committed personally to try to help this family come up with a dream, what to do with this property. I'm just wondering, is it prudent to keep giving without getting something in return? So if we agree to merge these 2115 and 2117, what is the harm in us waiting until the demo is done?
Well, the,
Well, the only reason I asked that is, I mean, is that an incentive enough for her to fulfill her commitment to us?
well, there's two things. You're obligated to act on this within 90 days of December 12th. Under Pennsylvania Municipality Planning Code, you have to render a decision within 90 days. So that would put us on the day of the next hearing. So you actually would have to approve this at our March meeting. The other thing is what we had instructed them to do was they needed to get a demolition permit and demolish the building, and they needed to get a building permit for the other building. We cannot issue the building permit unless we have this. So we're telling them they have to do one thing. If we don't approve this, they can't do the other thing.
And we won't issue a permit until it's definite, correct?
No, the demo permit's already been
The
issued.
demo, yes, but the building permit.
The building permit has already been reviewed and it's pending this approval right here.
But I think what Mr. Haynes is saying is, if we approve this and they haven't demolished, will we wait for the demolished, it to be demolished before we issue the permit?
I would recommend against it. I don't think that one thing has to do with the other. I don't know if Mr. Batchett feels any different. I mean, she's met all the legal obligations to consolidate the lots.
I think too, it removes one of her arguments that she can't get it done,
Yes,
you know, because we've told her 4 things and now she's
doing them all.
doing them all. So she can't say to the district justice, so, well, they haven't done this or they haven't approved my consolidation. I say, do the legal approvals and then just continue to, encourage her to. Demolition.
It's an ideal spot, and I mean, I'm not opposed to it completely, I'm just trying to, I wanna make sure there's enough incentive for them to follow through with what their word is. I mean, this property specifically has been in the subject of many councils. And it's time to,
She was accepted to do this over a year ago, and it's taken that long to get everything to this point. So, I mean, she's doing her end.
I have a response to that, but I'd like Mrs. Swartzwelder a chance to speak.
When we ordered the emergency demolition, it was only on the one building, not the other one, correct? Or did
We
we order
actually-
it on both?
We ordered it on both.
Emergency was only on one.
The emergency was on one.
But we ordered demolition.
Yep.
And how long ago was that?
I will say last July.
I mean, I don't want to see historic buildings get torn down, but this is ridiculous.
Well, the incentive that she has to perform right now is that, you know, we have a case proceeding with her pending at the magistrate. Which the magistrate's given her 2 continuances and wants to see something on the ground by March, I think it's March 14th.
And so if she does not do something by March, then
She will face a large fine.
at what
I
point?
think that not proving the consolidation gives us no benefit, and I think there is a benefit actually, because if you do have to go in and demolish it, lean it, now you have both parcels under one. So it's actually more advantageous to the borough if you have to go that next step, that it's 1 instead of 2. From my perspective.
Yeah, I'm not against the combining the lots. I guess I'm just trying to get some clarity on like, at what point do the buildings just have to get knocked down because we're not getting anywhere? But
Right. Yeah, like I said, you know, there's a large fine that could be levied against her of $1,000 a day from the time that she was ordered to demolish the building and did not. So, I mean, that's just say August 1st, I mean. 8 months could be almost a $250,000 fine.
has the contract been signed for the demo?
Yes,
Has a contractor been found?
a contract was signed and demolition permit was issued. I don't understand, they did have an excavator parked beside the building immediately after the demo permit was issued within that week. And it's not there now, building hasn't come down. So, not quite sure what happened there, but
Yeah, the applicant's daughter is here. If she wants to speak to maybe why that hasn't come down yet.
oh, I didn't even see Jocelyn.
I would welcome that if that's.
I mean,
You want to come up, Johnson?
Hi, Jocelyn. Welcome. Happy New Year, let's make it a great one.
You can stand right in the middle, yeah. You can stand right in, like right in the middle.
So I can hear you. We're not that.
Okay. You guys have a question or do I?
So what is the plan?
So the plan was to get the two building demo, consolidated. The middle building, the one that the facade cracks open on. Came down.
Yep.
That was supposed to, it's being demoed. We have a contractor that we signed and they got the permit. He brought in the machine, something's wrong with the machine. I don't know what happened with the machine. But with the court hearing, we had to put everything on hold because we wanted to go back to the court and see what the judge would say when the machine came down. So then fast forward, he has to put us back into his demolition job. So what happened when we first signed the contract, he had came last year to demo the buildings, so he did not know he had to do it by hand. He thought it was with the machine. So when he gave the second proposition, it came out, he realized, oh, the facade had came down. It's the first time he came with the permit. This is the second time he ordered a permit. So I guess in his mind, when I asked him to come back, that the building was still in the same structure. But not knowing what he thought he didn't know. I thought he went out there and checked it for the second time. But he said, okay, now it has to be done by hand. And with the machine having an issue, he has to regroup his thinking. And I told him, hey, I have a deadline by March that we went to court. This needs to be done prior to that. So that's on him as far as like everything is signed as far as the demo. The first building, we just got a call last Thursday that our permit was granted. That's where I stand. But once it's consolidated, we're doing the walk steps from that lot that's gonna be removed, the one with the cracks. Yeah,
So what I'm hearing is your expectation is that the building that will be demolished will be down before that March meeting
yes,
at the
sir.
magistrate again.
Yes, sir.
Great.
That is my goal. I mean, it's supposed to be done right now.
Yeah.
I heard the guy brought the machine in place, but I had to remove it. We're doing a second plan. I had to get that ASAP, but I'm under contract.
Yeah.
So,
Great.
yeah, the permit was already granted. I don't know if it's the weather. Well, he's putting things together. He needs main hand, not so much machine hand, because it has to be done by hand, since there's two buildings besides it. I think his first original plan from last year when we got the vote, we got the call that both of the building has to come down. He just thought it will come, knock it from 2015 all the way to 2017. But the fact that we're keeping 2015, we're not 2017, the plan of knocking it down has to be done by hand. By hand, the first floor, and then the main floor, I guess that's when it brings in the machine. So,
Any other questions?
So you commit to us that you'll have it done to the best of your ability by March 12th.
yes, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're gonna actually take a vote on this later in the meeting, so if you want to stay.
Any other comments about motion on hand? Well, it's not a motion, the discussion about the motion. Okay, let's move on to item 4F, discuss the compensation for collection of the trash and recycling fee.
As everyone's aware, we raised that fee $50, effective January 1st from $175 to $225. As it stands right now, Mr. Barr collects that, fee for us at a rate of 2.15% of everything he collects. If we didn't amend the fee, he would get an increase of about almost $4,000 for doing that. When we've changed the fee in the past, we have adjusted his compensation in the past. I have discussed this with him. He understands, totally on board. What I would recommend, rather than doing a percentage, so we don't have to change the percentage every time, is just doing a flat fee per bill. Right now, the percentage, he gets $3.76 per bill. If we make that $4 a bill, it gives him an increase, which he's never had in the collection of this. It's been a number of years since he's been doing this. He's never received any type of increase. It'd be 6.38%. But then if we set it at $4, if we have to adjust the fee 1 year, 2 year, 5 years down the road, it's $4. We don't have to go back and adjust the compensation to the collector. So that's what the 5th agenda item is about, just to set how much he needs to make for the collection of that. And last year, in 2024, he was paid $12,849 for the collection of that. At that same rate, he would be paid $13,600.
That takes effect this year.
That would take effect this year. Yeah.
Discussion.
When it goes off to Keystone, how much do we pay for there? Does that $4 get offset by that, or does it just go to Keystone? Whoever's collecting.
Well, if it goes to Keystone's delinquent, so the $4, it's a different agreement with Keystone.
Okay, so that he doesn't get, the money comes in, it's not, we're paying double fees.
Right, Mr. Barr doesn't get the $4 if he doesn't collect it.
So pay on time. Mr. Barr's great. Pay your garbage.
Any other comments? All right, well, just a reminder, those discussion items A through F are the ones we're gonna be voting on. Is the public comment sheet, can we put the public comment sheet out? If anyone wants to sign up to speak only on these 6 issues, 6 items, you can do so. We will pause after we finish the rest of the discussion to have that. Otherwise, let's move on to 4G, council member compensation for the January 1st, 2026 to December 31st, 2029 term.
So if a municipality wishes to change the compensation for the elected council members, they have to do it by February 15th of the election year. This is an election year that we have 4 seats up, as well as the mayor. And right now, everyone on council and the mayor receive a $2,500 salary, which the $2,500 is the maximum allowed by law, currently. The mayor can, for council, the mayor can receive up to $5,000 currently. She is at $2,500. Under Act 131 was passed by the legislature late last year. Council members in a municipality between 5,000 and 10,000 can be compensated up to $4,190 annually, and the mayor can be compensated up to $8,385 annually. So if council wishes to increase the compensation of the incoming council members on January 1st, 2026, you have to pass an ordinance by February 15th of 2025. So, and that would only affect 4 incoming council members. 3 council members who are not up for re-election this year will continue to be paid $2,500 for the rest of your term. So if you wanted to increase the compensation, there's a number of things you can do. You don't have to do anything. You can leave the $2,500 for the council members and the mayor. You can set a number that you want to increase it to effective January 1st, 2026. And then from then on until it's amended again, everybody receives that amount. Or one of the things Chris and I were talking about was you could set it at, say, you might want to set it at $2,500 in 2026, $2,500 in 27, and then maybe a different figure in 2028. So that you don't have these 3 members making $2,500 and these 3 members plus 1 more making $4,100. So you can set it, however you want for the future. You can set it now for 25, 25, 41, 41, or anywhere in between, whatever you think is fair compensation. And that the mayor's salary could change next year because the mayor's 1 person. There's seven council members, 4 and 3 on different salary scales. But again, so the question comes down to, is anyone interested in increasing the salary of the council members and the mayor? And if so, what is that amount? And if so, when would you want that to go into effect?
I'll just add, because I've been reading about this, that this would be the first increase since 1995 in elected official salaries. And this, for me at least, this one's kind of, it's tough because it has an impact on our budget. But to be honest, I feel like the 2,500 that we get today is not something that people would look at and go, that's good incentive for me to really put time and effort into this, into the work we do. It's a glorified volunteer position, honestly, and so I think moving forward, I hate saying the phrase money talks, but it does, people, if they're getting compensated more, are gonna put more into it. And so I would be open to increasing it. Now, whether that's like on a scale where we, do it little at a time or wait until a certain year to do it. I'd be open to it. But yeah, that's my 2 cents.
I think if I were to be open to it, I would be open to like a plan you stated, where we kind of do it on a rolling basis so that it's stay across the board. I think that'd just be easier for everyone. Not much.
Everyone gets the increase at the same time.
Yeah, it'll make life a lot easier.
I probably wouldn't be open to it because God knows I give a lot of time to this, but do it because you care about the neighborhood, you care about the issues. I don't do it to be compensated. God knows, I think I'm losing money. I am. So, I would not be open to it because I definitely think I'm losing money on it. I mean, I do see the point about, wow, it's been the same for a long time, but I don't know. I think that, people should probably be doing it because they want to help and make a difference rather than super compensation. But it does take a lot, to be clear, it does take a lot of effort and time because the things people don't see when you have to go into like executive sessions or you have to do other types of activities that are just, you're constantly doing stuff. And I don't think people see us here, the 2 times a month, but we're really on the job for a lot longer than that. But like I said, I personally don't think it should be raised.
Well, and to be, sorry.
Mr. Haynes has been trying to speak. I want to get him a.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say,
You up.
I can understand what Ms. Alfonso Wells is saying, but also I would not consider 4,500 or whatever it is per year as a super salary. I mean, it's still very low. If you look at the next level up in elected officials from borough officials and you start looking at the state level, it is a massive gap. And, I think for us to draw, I agree that people should be doing this because they have a passion for it. But at the same time,
Has a cost.
yeah, I mean, at the same time, it's hard to reconcile putting. There's times where the passion drives you and there's other times where you're not feeling the passion, and those are the moments when the money does talk. If there is a little bit more of an incentive.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, you were next.
No, I support, there's an opportunity cost for folks, and they have, people need to do this. You need to do it for the right reason, but at the same time, I would support an increase, and I would support an increase in 2028 when everybody's fresh for council. I think an increase for the mayor is far overdue. She's probably gonna throw something at me because I'm saying this. In fact, I think we should increase her salary right now for everything she does for us. Because she's on call a hell of a lot more than we are. So, and she's given us 22 years of her life, but I do support an increase. We need to attract the right kind of people, the right talent, and if it's this or a part-time job, and you got, somebody who's 25, 30 years old who, wants to come in and I've lived here, my life, and I love this place, and I want to get involved in government. Who knows? Maybe she's the next president of the United States, but she started here, making her 4,100. So I would, it's 4,100. So I support it 100%, and for future. When everybody's all about it.
I just think that, sure, increasing, but we're not increasing it that much. So I guess you can argue it either way. Like, we're not increasing it that much, but so we're not increasing it that much. So to increase it, how much more are we going to attract? Because it's still volunteer work. We're just getting a little bit more, which ultimately comes back as a cost. And I guess, Greg, you could give us numbers on, like, what does that actually look like as a cost to
14,000.
times 7?
Right, 14,000.
Yeah, in the overall budget, you're looking at, we just passed a budget of $19 million. you're looking at $10,000. Of 19 million, of 13,520. Okay. So you look at 13,520 on 19 million. Now, a lot of that money's passed through from borough building and other stuff, but the actual general operating is about 9.5 million. So, I mean, you're looking at, 1% of that's $95,000. So you're looking at. Do the math.
You're at 0.14%.
0.14% of budget for increase. I mean, which, every bit counts, but as Josh said, it's been 30 years. So $2,500 doesn't have buying power that it had 30 years ago. And I'm not advocating either way. I'm just telling you what you can do, can't do. But, it's 30 years of.
Maybe we have 3 years to change our mind.
Yeah, our biweekly checks are around like $189 or somewhere in that range. $189 in 1995.
Monthly.
Oh, monthly. I'm sorry. Yeah, monthly.
Right.
What do you
I'm on the double, the daily double. Anyway, that amount in 1995 would have actually been, hey, I can do something nice with this,
Mhm.
with that amount of money today. You can go out to dinner or, you can do something, but I think, yes, this is not a traditional job or a career, but I think it's important for council members to see that the borough appreciates them and
Absolutely.
appreciates their work. So that's why I would be in favor.
So, just so you guys know, we don't have to decide tonight. This needs,
Yeah, we do. Because we have to advertise an ordinance.
it'll be an ordinance change. That's fine.
And we have 3 years to change.
You would.
Remember, there are constitutional limits on what you can do. And I think you can put this in effect for the future, but just keep in mind that you can't change salaries. Yeah, I guess you could appeal it.
Yeah, because you said 3 years, you have 3 years for the group coming in 2028, so the group coming in 2026 comes in with the knowledge of 2,500, and then whatever. So,
Wouldn't they would also have a vote?
no, you can't change your own salary, that's why
You
we
can
have.
reduce it. Oh, you can't reduce it.
No, that's why we're doing it in advance.
Here's what I'm a little worried about, and I apologize. Greg did mention this to me today, and I thought. The Pennsylvania Constitution says elected officials cannot receive an increase in salary and compensation during their current term of office. So this would probably be a future term. That's why I think. it's probably-
Well, yes, it would be, that's why, like, the three of us are not up for election next year, and so we could not receive the benefit of that next year. But if we set it for 2028, if we decided to run for election, then benefit.
But the people halfway through their term could not get an increase.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Well, but
Based
They
on,
would
based
not
on that
be-
language.
they would not be voting to increase their salary. It would have already been thrust upon them that they are having 2 years of 2,500 and then 2 years of whatever the adjustment is.
It would have been adopted. in-
Yes. They would not have voted on that unless they were reelected.
Well, they're voting now.
Exactly.
They're not voting in a future term. They're voting on the current term.
You're voting for people you don't know who's running, you don't know if you're gonna get reelected in 3 years or not, so you're voting for future council members, which could be yourself, but it may not be.
So I've heard, generally speaking, a yes.
Yeah.
A yes, a no,
Yeah.
a yes, a yes. So, I mean, it sounds like consensus wise, there's a yes on increasing that. It sounds like consensus, there is a desire to do an increase in 2028. Again, we would have to vote on this in the February meeting. So we could always vote it down at that point in time, even though we've advertised it for it, correct? Yeah, so this is not the final decision. For those who were a no, is there kind of a number that's not the 4190 that you would say, hey, you know what, I'd be open to 3,500? Or do the four want to just go straight for the 4190? And let's talk a little bit about, we talked about when and the desire to do it. Let's talk a little about the amount.
So we're currently at max
We are currently at max.
and have been since 1995.
Well, I don't know how long we've been. That's been the max since 1995. I don't know how long, if the borough has been at max that whole time or not. I don't know if anyone, we've been at Max a long time.
I mean, it's, yeah, at least 2 decades.
There you go. So,
Well, I recall council was at 200 a month. No. 150, they were 2,000 a year. That was 20 years ago. And then it went up to 2,500 a year.
okay.
Mayor has always been, well, it's always been a 25.
So even when council was at 2,000, mayor was at 2,500? Yeah. So I again, reading what I said earlier, I think we need to separate that position out as well. I mean, I think that position is. Yes, we're all council people. We have our people that call us. Everybody goes to the mayor. I mean, whether she's at her work or she's church or preparing food in a food truck. People are like, hey, mayor, there's somebody parked in front of my house. So I would propose doubling that to 5,000 next year and then moving the council salary to the max 41.90.
Yeah, and you know me, Mr. Data, the buying power. $1 in 1995 is equivalent to $2.07 today. So it's a doubling. It's worth double what it was in 1995, and this increase isn't even keeping up. It's not a doubling, so it's not even keeping up with inflation. So I think it's more than reasonable to tax it.
Okay, so it sounds, Mr. Haynes' suggestion sounds good to those who litigate. What about any dissent opinions? Just
Still the same. Everything.
Here's a constitution, no law shall extend the term of any public officer or increase or diminish the salary or emoluments after his election.
but we're not. Say it again.
We can't.
No law extend the term of any public officer, increase or diminish his salary or emoluments after his election.
Yeah, but we're not voting after this election.
If we were to get rid of it.
The law would increase the salary during. Believe me, this is uncomfortable. I think it's a really nice idea. Let's push it to the future so it's fair for everyone. But that is an issue.
So you're saying if we do it, we need to do it next year for 2026.
People's set raises have to come in at the beginning of their office.
We'll just
Oh, you can't get raised after you're in the middle of it. We couldn't do like a percentage every year increase.
And you've never seen that. You've never seen that.
But still, I mean, do you still stand by 4190?
So if we agree to this, then it starts.
This would start January, a year from now. So who, because this year there is, yeah, this is the municipal primary. And election.
Just means you're buying coffee for the next 2 years. As we can't afford it.
Okay, so are we comfortable within the ordinance that beginning on January 1, 2026, council member salary would go to 4190 and the mayor will go to 5,000?
Yes.
Is that what everybody wants to advertise?
I mean, the mayor's max is 83.85. I just threw 5,000 in there. Somebody.
But that at least doubles.
Just volunteer. Hey, I'm basically volunteer. I spend more money.
That's the other.
Oh, I,
thing.
everything I
How much
do
you-
is sidewalk, like when you serve, you just serve, and that's the point, like, to get here, it's just for the service, when you know you're called to serve, to do something, you just do it.
I put a practice.
Yeah.
So.
That's it.
Yes, can I say something else? I was in trouble. One of the provisions of this law, and I'm not necessarily recommending it, but there was a concern at one point with a previous member of the council about not attending meetings. There is a provision in the new statute that says you can pay by the meeting rather than by the. Now, let me say this to you. I know that was a sticky issue. It is a cumbersome procedure, and there are exceptions written in to the statute for illness of a member. Illness of a family member, his emergency, or her emergency, or a family member's emergency, or absence due to business, or absence due to family travel, or absence due to individual travel. And then council has to vote on whether it's an excused absence. I don't know if it's worth it, but I don't want you to not be aware of that provision. I'm not recommending it. As a matter of fact, as I say, I think it's cumbersome. I have one client who wants to do it, but I just wanted to mention, I don't know what you want me to do a seminar. So,
Yeah, I would say no. I mean, with the amount of money that it is, not being that much money. If somebody walks away from their position. Let them have their money because they've shown a lot more about their character, like in that action than. You know. The financial penalty. Negligible. So I think it makes more sense to just say how it is.
Stay out of that. Part.
Yeah.
I mean, all that does is create more friction. Honestly.
Because then if somebody's taking a legit and isn't able to attend, then, and the council's having to vote on it, people are having, do you bring documentation? Do you have to prove
How
like,
much? Where's the hip?
here's my medical bills, here's
Right.
this is
And
why.
so,
I'm not doing
The point is that usually when someone has an illness or there's like we're all kind of aware of that. So it's not supposed to be in that sense, but the thing that had happened before is that someone just refused to come to any of the meetings. That was kind of, and didn't give up their position. So it's like we were one person short for a while, so that was problematic. So I think, so in a sense, it's not, and if you were to do it, it shouldn't be like, you know, if you miss one meeting, it should be, you know, rather consecutive meetings. If you give up halfway through, why are you being compensated to give up and sit at home? I personally think that it takes a lot to come here. It takes a lot to come here and to look everybody in the face and to come to agreement. That's what you're supposed to do. And when you can't do that and there's no, you know, there's no reason why you can't, like, it's not because of illness or anything. We're not saying that we're gonna be like, were you really sick? Because if you were sick, I'm not looking to see if you're sick, but we want people to be here because we need the person to vote. It changes the dynamics when you don't have the person here. So for me, you know, if you're doing all of this stuff and that's a huge chunk of money our poor borough is coming up with. We are not a rich borough. I know we're working with a budget, right? But when I sit there and don't want to pay the extra money for the trash collection, then you could say, you know, that's something that, you know, people in this borough are just like, what? I'm paying what for trash? And then you're gonna raise your salary. And then if you don't come, it's all right. No, that's not all right. You know, if you don't come, and is, you know, and not for any of the reasons that were listed, not for good reasons, you just gave up, you did the mic drop and disappeared, then you should not be getting compensated. That's the end of that. And that should encourage somebody else to come take the place. They shouldn't be getting paid for being absent.
But I think what Mr. McTiernan said is, I don't know that we could delineate that.
Right.
Every single absence would have to be brought up in a meeting and voted on.
And even if you suspected somebody wasn't attending, yeah. Are you gonna challenge? You said, well, I had this.
Well, if you had, I think if you were at the point where it's 5 meetings and there is no excuse. And everybody, we all know when we can't be here. I said, oh, you know, I'm going out of town and no one's gonna sit there and say, are you going? Are you? No, so it would be a point of everybody would come together and be like, you know, someone hasn't been attending meetings for whatever reason, because they hate everybody on council, they decided not to attend, right? Therefore, you know, no compensation, that's it, that money can go back to the borough, for goodness sakes, that's what I think. Shouldn't be compensated for not doing it.
I don't agree with a per meeting payment. 1, 2, I think we all have enough bosses. We're not on a board of a organization where, you know, where bylaws can require you to have a certain amount of attendance. There's ramifications with the community if you're not attending. I mean, there's people that sit out and protest and they have their own political agenda and reason why. We don't have to agree with it, but it's their constitutional right to do so. They pay the price of the ballot. I think that's, I mean, you get elected, you're elected to a 4-year term. You don't show up, you go grocery shopping, you gotta be able to read it. And I mean, I want this room full of people asking this question. And I mean, I encourage people to show up. So I don't agree with that. I don't know other branches of government that have that.
The, Allegheny County has that.
It's in the home rule charter. That's the only one I know. So, and if I understand correctly, Mr. President, we're gonna get an ordinance together for consideration of potential vote for the February meeting. We're even not even the council. 5,000 is there. Yes, and just their votes. Then it would be effective the first day of the first term of the.
Unless there are others who want to go, and I've heard a couple of, a yes and a couple of no's for the per meeting basis.
But you don't have to do it per meeting.
You do.
It's,
You do. That's what the.
Yeah, yeah,
that's
I would be in
what the
favor of it if it was like, all right, 3 consecutive months of missing, if that's something we can bring, I would definitely be in favor of that.
And there are
But per
statutes that
meeting-
have that. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, go ahead, sorry.
No.
Yeah, but if it's like per meeting, I can see that getting catty, and I do not want that.
but
to
you
be an
do say
issue.
there's something that says like if no one's been to a meeting in 3 months.
No, doesn't say that at all.
No,
It
what
just
does it
says you
say?
have to have an excused absence to be paid,
Mm,
and then there are all these reasons, and so that puts you in a position of making an inquiry and determination. There's no provision. There are statutes, for example, certain commissions where if you miss 3 meetings, you can be removed, certain authorities and things, but that's not the case here. It's not that.
But they're not elected, correct?
They're appointed. Right.
All right, any final words on this? Let's move on to 4H, real estate tax collector compensation for the January 1st, 2026 to December 31st, 2029 term. Similar, we have to set the rates for the tax collector prior to the registering for the primary.
Yeah, so we have to set this by February 15th. Currently, the tax collector position, the borough pays $800 a month, plus pays the rent and pays the utilities at the office with tax collector. So we did make a change in 2022 where we began paying utilities for the tax collector. We never did that before in lieu of providing rent. That amount for 2024 was $2,097 that we reimbursed Mr. Barr for his utilities. So basically he went from $9,600 to about $11,697 in 2022. We also provide the copier lease for him as part of the project. I don't know if you want to call it compensation, but that's, we do provide $9,600 in annual salary, $4,200 in office rent, $1,800 in copier lease, $1,400 for telephone and internet expense, and $2,097 for water, sewer, gas, and electric. So these are all costs. He received $16,356 from the Woodland Hills School District as his compensation for their collection. And this position also is under contract with us to collect the garbage fee. So when you look at the total compensation in the tax collector's pocket through all of his different agencies is about $39,000 per year. So the tax collector's not getting rich off this, it's around $39,000 in wages that receive. And like I said, plus we pay the rent, copier lease, telephone, internet, all. So we have to decide, do you want to continue at $9,600? Increase. In that, it's the same thing, it has to be said by February 15th or next year.
So I was actually, well, unfortunately, Mr. Chairman already derailed what my proposal was, because with a similar proposal, that basically to increase it to $1,000 in 2027. Roughly speaking, that would have been when the borough building is completed and the tax collector would move into that office, which would remove our need to pay things like rent and utilities and whatnot. But I'm gonna assume that we can't adjust that election or midterm. So I'm not sure what I want to do that, because I don't think, maybe my proposal would be to increase, but to stop paying, reimbursing the bills, and then once, again, they move, the tax collector moves over to the borough building, those costs for him or her out of pocket are removed.
I don't think that it would be appropriate to stop paying the bills. But I think that he should, there should be a raise. I guess I don't have a number to say what it is. Or if we look at How much are we paying in bills? Is that going to be his raise? And do we just eat that next year, until the borough buildings built? And then it all kind of evens out after a year or whatever it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. You know, so what you're saying is to move it to like around 11,600. And we still pay the bills in 2025, and then we, in 2026, that kind of goes away.
Right.
The $2,100 bills.
Which I guess will be in the borough building hopefully.
Well, that's the next agenda.
Has the tax collector had a raise?
Mr. Barr's been tax collector since 2000, and the compensation's been the same since 2000. So I don't know how long before that, but Mr. Barr has been paid $800 a month for 20.
But I think it might be a reason why he doesn't want to do. Perhaps. I don't know.
Oh, he's not opposed to get it. No, I did. He's not opposed.
Yeah, I think at the minimum, it should go up to 11,600, if not $12,000. On years to not have a raise, and he's not volunteering. He's
Right.
That's a job.
Yeah, and just, you know, keep in mind to keep the personalities out of it. It's not for Mr. Barr, it's for
For
whoever
tax.
that's elected
He's elected that position.
next year. Because we don't know if Mr. Barr is gonna run again, you know, but we need to set the salary so that anyone who wants to run knows what the compensation is when they take the office.
So I hear 12,000. How do I feel about that?
Why hasn't this been done previously? I feel like. It's a lot of pressure. Why are we just doing this now?
Well, we did do this 4 years ago.
And they agreed to keep it what it was?
Well, they kept it what it was, but agreed to pay his bills. So it wasn't, so he didn't receive an increase in his salary, but we reimbursed him for some out of pocket expenses, so his salary actually,
Okay,
you know, his take home.
okay.
And I think the reason we did it on the reimbursement was because that way, he gets all that back, no taxes on a reimbursement.
Thank you.
I think that was part of the discussion.
Okay,
But so, yeah, we did it 4 years ago, but I can't answer before.
okay.
So do we have to pass another ordinance?
Yes.
Is there a max amount?
Pleasure.
I don't know, I haven't researched that one. I don't think there is a tax code.
I don't think there is on tax collector because it's not set, that's one that's not set by statute like.
Be easier. Go ahead.
Well, some tax collectors are collecting. I guess they can do it by population.
Yeah.
If there's any of them.
Okay, so the ordinance going to advertise is $12,000 annually.
All right, let's move on to item 4I, discuss borough building bids.
So we opened bids in December, which I've made everybody aware of. I've sent everybody all the different spreadsheets and that. So we reduced, but through value engineering and making some changes, we did reduce the cost from about $8.7 million down to $8,149,200. So we're looking, you know, you're looking at probably another $750,000 on top of that for the, you know, we have the demolition money, you know, $191,000, the rent at the school right now. You know, we have to furnish the building. There's a lot of other stuff, you know, a lot of soft costs in here. I would think would be maxed out about $750,000. We should be able to do a little lower, but I'm trying to give you worst case scenario. It would be $8.9 million. We have a $6.5 million loan and $2.5 million grant. That's $9 million. So it is doable. The only thing is cash flow. But I am meeting with Mr. Abraham from First Commonwealth on Wednesday to talk about some kind of revolving line of credit to pay these things until we get reimbursed from our grant sources, from our grant funds. So I'm in the process of scheduling a finance committee meeting probably next week. I'd send the doodle poll out tomorrow. I didn't get around to it today So I'm gonna do finance committee and building committee meeting, before the next meeting. And I'd like to come back with a recommendation of yes or no, whether, you know, what the finance committee and the building committee both think about moving forward at this point with these numbers. Honestly, if we don't do it now, with these numbers, we have to change the entire thing. Because these aren't gonna change, just keep rebidding, it's just gonna go up. And these numbers, we have to make a decision by the February meeting, because the standard contract for construction is they have to hold their bid for 60 days. So we have to February 12th to make a decision. I'm sorry, February 10th, the opening is December 10th. So like I said, we'll get back to you next month with the finance
The end of
committee and, and the building committee's recommendations.
Once we pass it, how long will it take for them to break ground? Start.
I don't. Until we talk to contractors. Yeah, that's. Yeah.
It's just a question I get at least once a week.
Hopefully early spring we can do, hopefully early spring. Now you're looking at 30 to 45 days for them to provide all their bonds, get their bonds in place, get the contracts in place. So, if we awarded February 5th, the best we're looking at is mid-March to have all the paperwork ready. And they can start ordering, after we award the contract, they can start ordering the building, the metal and all the materials. Because we're obligated at that point to pay. So they could start ordering all that stuff before the contract's in place. But my best case scenario, I'd say April 15th, May 1st would be the best case scenario.
I think we have to move forward. We have an empty lot. We're kicking, if we delay this anymore, it's not kicking the can anymore, it's punting. And we got the bid down. We need to move forward. We need to build it.
We'll have that recommendation. Probably for, we'll see, finance and building at the end of the month. We can have further conversation then about it.
And Woodland Hills probably gonna throw us off next year. So they have told us that.
All right, already move on and have that recommendation later. 4J, discuss trash amnesty program.
So we were talking about this, I brought this, the mayor brought this up last month. Here at the council meeting, and we've been talking about it behind the scenes for 2 months or so. So one of the things we're talking about maybe doing next year is a trash amnesty program. Where people, we could waive delinquent penalties, delinquent interest. To try to get people current with their garbage bills, to get an influx of cash from those garbage bills and get them up to date, and maybe hopefully they pay their current bill because now they're caught up. So I talked to Jason Lawson at Keystone Collections, and what Mr. Lawson said was there are certain things that can't be waived. Number one is their fee, of course. Whether we go out and collect the delinquents, or they collect them for us through the amnesty program, they still get paid because they're under contract to be paid. So if they've filed liens, if they have any court costs outstanding, even like certified mail, everything that they've sent out, all that stuff has to be satisfied with the amnesty. But you say you can waive 100% of the penalty at 100% of the interest. That's up to council. And then the only thing they would have to pay is the outstanding balance, as well as the fees associated with it that they've already incurred, and whatever percentage they're entitled to for the collection. So one of the good things, though, that he did say, though, is they would be happy to send the letters out with the, saying, hey, you have a balance of this much for the next 60, 90 days, whatever it is, we will reduce it to this much. And, it will be reduced to this much if you make payment. And they said they will do all that as part of their regular service in collecting delinquents. If we pass, whatever we need to do, resolution or ordinance to do so, they'll be happy to do it. So it's not really any much more work on the staff, other than identifying, which one, we're going after first. And then we could do this, we could do it all at once, or we could do it in waves, or maybe we're trying to hit the top ones first and then work our way down to the lowest.
I don't suggest the opposite, start with the low. you are probably more likely gonna pay. True. Get them back in, sorry, I interrupted. That's.
So I think that's a good point, though. If you owe 2 or 3 or 4 years, maybe, you know, if you owe $750 in fees and trash fees, but $2,000 in penalties and interest, you might be able to pay the $750, but not $2,000. So that's a good point. He was not able to get me a list for tonight's meeting because his person that did it took a long extended vacation through the holidays, so they're just back today. But he said he will give me a list of all the delinquents, what the fees, how much they actually owe, plus penalties, plus interest. And we can come back next month and, Bob, will we have to do a resolution or an ordinance?
Because it's the trash, you have to do it. Well, if we're gonna do an ambulance, we have to.
Okay. Okay. So maybe I can get the list this month, and now is everyone, we want to move forward on this? Okay. So, and it what, I mean, you can waive all the penalties and interest, or you can waive just penalty or just interest, or half the penalties, half the interest. You know, do we want to just go full bore of all the penalties and interest, or do we want to make them pay something for not paying their bill?
I think if you're doing amnesty, you wanna get them paid, so just.
Let's get them
Just
current.
get,
That's the best.
don't, the interest, all that kind of stuff, that's just extra that makes people feel like they're drowning. This, they feel like, oh my God, I can get out of the hole, I can stop digging. Then there's really no excuse, right? Because you've taken that away and you've like, bam, get some money into our coffers.
Would there be an option, like if they have, say, $1,000, $2,000 in just garbage fees? Can we give them the option for like 2 payments or something, as long as they're paying, they pay something back?
We could do that. You know, in the ordinance, you'd have to specify that, so we need to know what you want to do, if you want to give them the option of the payment plan. The only thing I would recommend though, is if you give them the option of a payment plan, if they default, you have to specify that it's no longer the next month. If they default on it, all the penalties and interest go back on. So that when the property sells, then we can collect all the penalty and interest.
And I guess we'll be able to look at kind of more of like a number once we have that list.
Yeah,
To say,
once we have the list, we'll be able to see what we're looking at. He didn't know offhand, you know, whether it's $10,000 or $4 million. I think it's probably a couple $100,000 with all the penalties and interest. Because we do collect about $160,000 annually delinquent trash fees. So there's a lot of money. And a lot of that is Keystone's efforts, and also a lot of it is through real estate sales, because these things are getting spot on the property sales. So,
Are we including businesses in the amnesty program or just residents?
well, the businesses, we don't serve those with businesses. We have some commercial contracts with them, with some businesses, but if they stop paying, we get them off.
All right, thank you.
We do have a couple we need to address and go after that haven't paid for a while, but no, I wouldn't do that, because they signed up for commercial service specifically with us. And you know, where they went to any hauler and they chose us, and I personally wouldn't waive that. Yeah, so be for residential trash collection.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we'll have something together for next month with we'll get as soon as we get the list of everything, we'll get it out to everyone. And then we'll put it like a list, like a bunch of terms together for, you know, what we want and, you know, what we're looking at doing. And then everybody can go, you know, have that as an agenda. And then what's the length of time you want to go on this as far as, you know, for the next 60 days, 90 days? I wouldn't say for like the whole year, you know, you can get current, but it just get people moving.
I mean, once we see the list and we come up with the number of payments, it's like, okay, you either have to be paid or in a current payment plan within 60 or 90 days or something like that if you fall off. And without, there should be a mechanism, say somebody falls on hard times. They have, you know, they really.
Well, I'd be wary about that because everybody falls off hard time.
We're all.
So.
If we say though, you know, like, we need to specify a certain percentage needs to be paid as a down payment on the payment plan. And then the percentage, you know, here, boom, 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 you know, within certain amount of times, if they default, then it's all put back on there. At least we've collected something.
5-day grace period, right? So that
I-
sometimes people
They've had,
pay.
they've got a 5-year grace period.
That's true. I'm just saying, some people don't always get paid at the right times.
Well, what we can do is we can work with them. If they want to do payment plan, we can work with them, or Keystone can work with them to when they can pay. You know, that they, if they say, you know, I get paid on these dates, okay, then we'll do it 5 days after. the payment, 5 days. Okay. So we'll put something together for next month for everyone's approval, and then we'll. Do we, and I guess the question wasn't answered, we will do like 90 days.
Yeah. 90 days.
All right, 4K, discuss partial payments for trash payments, we're still on track.
This is just an informational thing. Currently at the old rate of $175. You could make 2 payments, $92.50. There was a $5 charge per payment. $87.50 plus $5 for $92.50 for 2 payments. So it would just increase now. It's $117.50 for the payments for the 2 payments. So just informational. So when you get your bill, you know, you still have that option, but it's of course at a higher.
Who's the extra $5 going to?
The borough.
It's paper. Hey, it's only one piece of paper.
Any conversations about, I mean, outside of Greg shared, all right, Mr. Batchy shared. All right, 4L, discuss police hiring.
I want to defer to Chief Watson on this. We, you know, we are down, we had an officer resign recently, so we are down 1 officer, 1 full-time officer. And, you know, I'll defer to Chief Watson if you have anything to.
I would ask that council, do what's necessary to have civil service go through the testing process. So we have a list to hire for that position.
We just ask the civil service to do a test.
Let's ask
And,
them.
yeah, and it's a short, it would be an expiration period, chief. We've already gone beyond the life.
Oh, yeah, our list expired a while.
Yeah.
The current law is 1 year unless it's extended for a 2nd year, and
It's
felt like.
yeah, as long as that's the case, then we can just make a request. We'll do it.
You feel good about that? Up here? Yeah, all right, so let's make it happen.
Okay, I'll reach out to Mr. Knosco and the Civil Service Commission. Move forward. And the last thing on the agenda, discuss light shields on street lights. So if you're all, I think everybody's aware, Duquesne Light changed over to all LED lights in the borough. In October, they finished the last of them, so every street light's now LED instead of the old incandescent. I've received some complaints about the brightness of them and how they're intruding into people's bedrooms and people's windows and stuff. And people called Duquesne Light, and Duquesne Light said, well, if you pay $250, we'll put a shield on the back of it. It'll keep the light from coming into your house. So, but only the borough can request that they do that, and only the borough can pay them for it, they said. So I had a person on Lone Drive said, well, I told him, I said, we're not gonna pay to put shields on them. I said, because if we had to put a shield on every light, it would cost over $150,000, which we're not doing. And he said, well, okay, I'm not paying for it. So recently I had another resident come forward and say, hey, he called Duquesne Light on his own before he called me. And he mails a check into the borough for $250. It says, I want to get my shield put on. And the problem with this is, if you have $250, you can get a shield. If you don't have $250, you pay it.
Well, there's blackout curtains also, hang those out.
Except when you buy your house and you have trees across your entire backyard, or at least the fence line, and you build a beautiful deck to be able to be outside and enjoy yourself. Sorry, Jordan, I called you about this. And then they cut down all their trees and you have this bright LED in your nice quiet deck that you've had built to enhance your property that you end up blinded.
Sunshine, $250. Fix that.
Get some climbing equipment, climb up the pole. Put up some plastic.
Take it out of her.
Well, what I'm asking the council As council, I think you need to come up with a policy on these that, yeah, if you have $250, you can have one, or we're just not doing this. Because I don't think it's equitable to residents that can't afford it,
Yeah.
you know, that, oh, well, I'd love to have it, but I don't have $250. And we just say, well, sorry, but, oh, you have $250, sure. I don't think that's fair to the residents.
And the fact that it has to come through the borough for payment makes that look even more inequitable, because then the borough is handing money over, so people who have the money can get the shield.
Mhm.
And those who don't, tough luck, you know, I don't.
So they own the light, they own the actual light fixtures?
And our rates still aren't decreasing, are they?
Rates have not gone down a cent, and that's another thing we need to follow up with the PUC, I believe. I think we all municipalities should get together because it costs them about 15% to power those lights, and we're still paying over $12,000 a month. To power them, when it's costing them maybe $1,800. Yep. So that's a separate discussion for another day.
You can lower the price. You can put
We
on
can
some-
think that-
Right.
I mean, it's partially tongue in cheek, but, you know, take the like Tom Shoes model where, you know, you want a light shield, you pay $500 and then that goes to scholarships to people who can't afford it. Just throwing that out there.
I mean, it really, I was joking about it, but it really is a pain. It really is. You're sitting out there, you gotta kind of figure out where you're gonna sit. You know, people are ushering around to one side. No, you can't put a shield up. Say that. Yeah, not about getting a citation for having something over 6 foot tall. But I mean, is there a way to dim them? Or lower them?
So we're just saying,
I mean, yeah,
tough one. You live with it. I don't think that's.
I would encourage people to advocate to Duquesne Light. I mean, for them to do something about it, like the borough, I don't think we can take action on it as a borough. But I think if enough residents would go to Duquesne Light, be like, this is ridiculous. I mean, they have the ability to go out and put shields on all.
Yeah, they can change their policy.
Sure, yeah, I'm saying.
they can change their price too.
Yeah,
Right. I'd be open to us as a council sharing the concerns of our residents as a council. I mean,
Also,
Honestly.
how many residents are
Yeah.
affected
Right.
by it?
How many
We have
complaints?
over 8,000
I've done,
residents.
I've done 4 complaints, 2 went to the. Actually, I have to check here in this folder. One sent to check, 1, you know, we had a lot of conversations about, the other 2. You know, I told them what Duquesne Light said, that they have to pay $250, and I said, well, we're not paying $250. And they just dropped it and said, you know, done. So there's 4 that complained, but the problem is how many more are out there? You know, when the summertime, you know, they just finished in October, summertime comes, they open their curtains, lift their window up and, you know, in the summertime. And now they have the light shining and they didn't realize before because they didn't have the you know, this is the first time it's in there. Is there's no real rhyme or reason how Duquesne Light did it, they do 3 on the street, they go over, do 1 here, 1 there. So, you know, there are a lot of people that aren't gonna know, who may not even notice lighting trees until spring or summer.
when you buy your house during the day, don't like.
I've had 3 people separately discuss it with me as well, that it's shining into their. And I told them because I had heard from the first person, because they called Duquesne Light. I said, you know, Duquesne Light will put up a shield if the borough pays for it, but
So can we start a petition?
for what?
For Duquesne Light to change the
For
rules,
Duquesne Light to put shields on all of them?
or for them to.
Or it's for them to change the rules so that if a resident wants to, they can pay the
Yes.
$250 instead of it.
It doesn't have to address that.
The problem is then you get in the middle of the neighbor.
Design a
and the
better
neighbor
light.
wants that too.
I was gonna say, then you have a neighbor who's like, I like that it's illuminating my front yard more, and then they put up the shield and it's not illuminating their front yard, and then that's why, like,
Take it out.
I don't wanna get involved. with it.
Yeah, it'd just be better if we're not involved.
Yes.
Yeah. I agree.
They own the
Encourage
lights,
petition,
let
right?
them.
I'm gonna raise a petition. Let's have a light for others.
I have blackout curtains.
I said to Fred,
I've never.
this discussion was reminding me of Christmas Vacation, when the couple's in the dark and Chevy Chase finally lights the house. They fall down the steps from the blinding light, and then it turns off. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, I don't feel like we can give a good determination without actually living it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's invasive,
It
I
stinks.
would imagine. You know, having this light shining in your bedroom or in the baby's room, you know, all the time.
I also think letting this sit for a while, again, taking our hands off it, because there are plenty of articles about the light pollution that LED causes, all this stuff that in several years, this could all change it.
We'll still be paying.
I
We'll
will
still
be
be
an
paying.
environmental study. We are a bird town and lights hurt birds.
Thanks. All right, do you feel like you have what you need for that?
What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna be long, because Bernie said was, we're not gonna do it right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you, check that, and tell them, we're gonna follow up with Duquesne Light, and maybe it's a follow up.
Yes, we are not interested in being a go-between rights process.
Not unless we're gonna feed.
All right, let's move on. Was there any public comment on those? Okay, so no public comment on agenda items, so let's start taking some votes. Category 6, council actions minutes, 6A. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the minutes of the November 20th, 2024 council agenda meeting and the December 4th, 2024 council meeting.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor of approving the motion as read, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Let's move to 6B, finance.
I move to approve the Borough of Swissvale paid bills in the amount of $1,232,640.51.
Second.
Any discussion?
Pay your bills.
All right, let's vote. And all in favor of approving the motion as read, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Move down to C, personnel. We've got 5 of them.
I moved to ratify, oh, can I just do them all at once?
That's what I was gonna ask. Do we?
Can I just say their names? If there
I
no-
don't know if any objections.
I move to ratify the hiring of Elisa Insonente, Christopher Snedeker,
Brett Steele, Nathan Haslett, and Terry Newbacon.
as part-time firefighter from Swissville Fire Department, with wages and benefits as set out forth in the collective bargaining agreement.
Second.
All right, any discussion?
No, we all interviewed myself, Brittany and Kevin, we interviewed them. A couple weeks ago. They all were recommended and we talked to them, and we highly recommend them. So,
Great. Let's vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Move down to 6D, borough building demolition.
I move to approve a final payment in the amount of $36,000 to Gilberry and Associates for the demolition of the Swissville Borough Municipal Building.
Second.
All right, on the table, any other discussion other than what we talked about? Let's vote. All in favor of approving the motion as read, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. 6E, climate resiliency plan.
I move to appoint the following individuals to the Climate Resilience Plan Committee. Staff members Greg Batchy, Jordan D'Ambrosia, and
Sarah.
And also, the public, Robert Rogers, Ashley Martin, and Rebecca Burkett.
Council
That's
members
two.
Kevin Haynes and,
Right. That's two.
I guess you can put me on.
Fred and Kevin were
I
the
think
two.
this was pretty good. I haven't talked about it yet, but that was good.
Oh, you weren't here. Forget it.
Yeah.
Oh, you.
So Fred and Kevin,
I moved to amend it to add Ed strictly.
That's.
Okay.
okay,
Fred Quinn and Kevin Haynes and Angela Sugar. Okay.
second.
all right, all in favor of approving the motion as read, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. 6F, resolution.
I move to approve resolution 2501, authorizing the participation of the Swissville Police Department in the South Hills DUI Task Force.
Second.
Any discussion? Vote. All in favor of approving the motion as read, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. 6G, subdivision approval.
I move to approve the Mbembo lot consolidation plan at 2115 and 2117 Noble Street, combining tax ID numbers 178-8-182 and 178-H-183, as recommended by the Swissvale Planning Commission.
Second. Good luck figuring that out. Any discussion other than what we discussed already tonight? All in favor of approving the motion as read, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Let's move on to 6H, trash fee collection compensation.
I move to set the fee for collection of garbage fee for 2025 and subsequent years until amended in the future at $4 per unit collected.
Second.
Discussion? Let's vote. All in favor of approving the motion as read, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Go through that business quick. We're gonna go down to reports because we've got all the reports tonight. So let's begin with the COG report. Ms. Stribling.
So Concord had your, Christmas dinner, December 12th, but I wasn't in attendance and I didn't receive any diversity reports.
That's your report?
That's not my report.
All right, let's move on. Connect report, Ms. Alfonso Wells.
Okay, so Connect is having a wellness symposium for well-being at the Phipps Conservatory of Botanical Gardens. It's going to be, I believe, January 10th. Am I correct?
I think so.
It's
That Friday?
Yeah, it's Friday, January 10th. They're gonna have different speakers. They're gonna have different wellness things. I think there's a massage that's going on. They're gonna have different resources. This is particular for councils and for borough heads and to go and to take care of your mental health and to get a little bit of pampering, but also to understand the dynamics of how to make sure that you are well in an environment that doesn't necessarily promote wellness. So they have all these different strategies. It's gonna be on the 10th. It's gonna be an 8-hour event, but I think you can come and go to different things. And in the evening, they're actually gonna have a garden dance party. I'm all about the dance party. And so even if you just want to go to the garden dance party, you can go to the garden dance party. I can put this up so that you can attend. I would highly recommend that you, if you can, to go to something, right? Even if you gotta go to the massage, I mean, hey, go get a massage and have, talk about how we can all be peaceful people, right? There we go. So hopefully, you can attend, and as I said, it's open to all of us, so that
Do
we
you have
can.
anything you can forward?
I sure do, yes, I shall
Just
forward
for
it.
information so we can RSVP or.
Yes, and we have money in our budget for it, I believe, and, we can also contact the office, so I will forward that.
Thank you.
Connect out.
Disconnect.
The President's report, I figured this was gonna be a lengthy meeting, so I don't have any further comments myself. So we'll just move on to Mayor's report.
I think the same thing, so
I'll
save it for next month.
take it. Borough Manager's report.
Sorry.
Taking our time, we're yielding our time to you.
So just to further what Mr. Grabowski said about the active transportation plan survey, if it is on our website, if you go to swissvalleborough.com, go to the homepage, and scroll down to news and announcements, it's in the center. It says Connect Swissvale, take the survey. You can take that until the 15th. So just, please go on there if you have any interest in walking, biking. If you use a wheelchair, if you know anybody who uses a wheelchair, please go on, take the survey before the 15th and give us your opinions. And also that it will have those 2 times, Wednesday, 10:30 to noon at the senior center and Thursday, 5:30 to 7:30 at the library. So please do try to do one of those three times. Borough offices will be closed on January 20th for in observance of Martin Luther King Day. We are doing trash and recycling that day.
Trash and recycling will go.
Okay. So there will be no changes in the trash and recycling schedule that week. And the last thing I have is we have a number of seats available on various boards and commissions, Human Relations Commission, the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee, Planning Commission, and Zoning Hearing Board. If you were interested in applying for any of those, there's information on the website of all what the different boards entail. And the deadline is January 10th at 4 p.m. That's this coming Friday, so please send it to me at gbachy@swissvalleborough.com. Please email those to me. You drop them off to the office also. And that is all I have. Wasn't too bad.
All right, let's move on to Code and Fire Report, Chief Wilhelm.
I don't have much to report. I want to thank council for hiring these 5 part-time firefighters. Excited to have them here. They're energetic, they're young, very thankful for the opportunity, so thank you. Other than that, Just compiled our monthly report, which has been circulated to you. Our numbers are consistent with last year's numbers, with the exception our call volume is reset back down to 1574. Last year, we had an anomaly and had 1,812 calls, a few hundred more than normal, but it's been consistent. So that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Great. Move on down the line, police report, Chief Watson.
Unfortunately, December ended in a bad note for us, in that we had a homicide, on Dixon Street. An apartment we're familiar with. We had made several arrests out of it. Involving that apartment activity in and around the apartment. So, it's actively being investigated by us at Allegheny County Homicide Police. We've interviewed several people. There is active things they're working on, and should anything come up, I'll make council aware of that. When I'm able to. So, you know, we had several shootings last year, but you know, the homicide always bad way to end the year. So, hopefully things turn on. The landlord was taking action to evict the tenant, which will help alleviate some of the problems. The other thing is we did have a couple of car thefts a week ago. We put a message out to remind people to lock their cars, and you know, everybody has key fobs, you know, for these new cars that you don't need a key to start the car. You have the fob on, you push button to start the car. A lot of people forget to get them out of the car. My kids who are young drivers forget to get them out of the car yet for a month. But you know, if you're able to lock your car, you leave the key fob. So you gotta make sure you have the key fob on you. It's not the vehicle. Because the individuals who are stealing cars are literally walking down the street and trying every door handle to see if it's open, see if it unlocks. And if you leave your fob and they unlock the car, they take the car. So second part of that is one of the cars that's stolen was used in a shooting. So it used to be kids would steal cars, they would take it for a joyride, they dump them somewhere that'd be it. Now we're finding more and more, not just in Swissvale, but in this whole area, that these individuals are taking cars and then using them to commit violent crime. So, you know, it kind of goes hand in hand that if you secure your stuff, it makes it much harder for them to have that, to commit that violent crime. And we had a carjacking at the Sunoco last weekend, and we were able to arrest those individuals that evening within an hour, with the help of the city police. But, you know, some of the technology is helping. We got plate readers in the community that district attorneys have pilot installed. We have access to that system, and it's actively being used by every police department that has it. And arrests are being made because. So, we're lucky to have access to that technology, and it works. It's effective. So,
Chief Watson, regarding the car thefts and whatnot, there's. When is there not, but there's buzz online and social media about this, and people talking about that the juveniles may have the devices that help hack the key fobs, and they can open any doors. And I know there's technology out there, but do we have any indication that that's actually happening?
here involving these incidents, no.
Okay.
Now, I mean, typically that's used for more high-end vehicles. You know, they're not stealing my 2011 Yukon that the kids. So, but yeah, I mean, yes, I mean, it is out. We haven't arrested anybody with it. So I haven't seen it firsthand, but it is out. So the other thing, there was Kias and Hyundais being stolen because that company failed to secure their vehicle, and you could pop, you know, the push button off and you use the device to start the vehicle. People were able to get that information online. It was easy to do. So, I mean, if you left your car unlocked. Now then, you know, they came out and said that, you know, the easiest way to prevent theft of your vehicle, because believe it or not, is like a club.
Right.
You know, we all remember the
They
club.
have throwbacks, yeah.
It works.
Yeah,
I mean, it does, it does. It's an effective. Sometimes we go back to basics, you know, things that were, I mean, seriously, like, you know,
That was in the 80s.
yeah, you know? So, I mean, it's kind of become, there was a big law in park. You know, it's really kind of become a thing again. So a lot of it is that people don't secure their vehicles and they forget those key fobs. Because it's easy to do, you know, you used to turn your key off, put it in your pocket. Well, now you jump in the car and if you're busy, you throw the fob in your cup holder and you get out of the car and you lock your car and you think, oh, I locked my car, I'm good. No, so. There's a lot going on, but. You know, we kind of, Josh, we hit the low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
You know, two ways cars stolen is that, and then we leave it running and when we stop at no more to run in for 2 seconds and that 2 seconds turns into 3 minutes and your car's.
Or the car warming, right? What did you call
The
those?
car warning, yes, that's what I'm saying. You know, they pull in and don't want to shut their car off because they don't want it to get cold while they're in Noble Mart. Or they start in front of their house and don't secure their vehicle and lock it. So.
Thank you.
All I have.
I just wrote real quick. First and foremost, Chief, thank you very much for all your hard work and everything, the whole team does. I do want to say that unfortunately I saw you on television, but I think you represent us very, very well. Very professionally, so I want to applaud you for that. Unfortunately, I'd rather I wish it were for something better than a homicide, but I applaud your professionalism and the way you represent our board. Thank you.
Oh, I can't end on a high note that, our toy drive, the Blue Santa was a success. We had lots of volunteers. We had I think it was over 300 cars going through. The mayor it was crazy busy, but it was very good, very
So much
positive.
fun. It's so fun.
Yeah,
We froze, but it's.
it was cold, yes. So,
And I see the news story on that, so thank you both. Thank you all for that.
And I refer a lot of people there, so it's good.
at least we got, get to do something good then. So, yeah. That's all.
Let's keep moving around the board to Mr. Gambrose at Public Works.
Yeah, just a few things. Obviously, we had a lot of, multiple snow and ice events in December. I thought the crew did a really good job keeping the streets clear. We did also receive one of our new trucks last month, Ford F-350 crew cab. Over the decals and the safety equipment. Hopefully that should be on the road next week or two. Also Ross Camillo, he's been with the borough for over 15 years. He started as CDL class. So in about 2 months, we'll have another reliable CDL driver.
I like Ross.
Yeah.
And with the holidays wrapping up, is there a limit to when, I know trees can go out with the regular garbage. Can that be any week or is there a cutoff when those won't be picked up anymore?
Real trees.
Real trees, yeah, don't drive.
Right.
We were gonna end that next Friday.
Okay.
All right, Borough Engineers report. This guy's not here. Do you have anything to? No. Yeah. All right, then we're gonna move on to the Water Authority report.
There was no, December board meeting, no report.
No.
What's the phone number, Tracy?
Excuse absent.
What's the phone number, please?
But
What's the phone number, Tracy?
if you have any water issues,
Please call.
please call.
You should know it.
All right, solicitors report.
Mr. President, in keeping with the trend, I have nothing to add to the earlier discussion.
Oh, good. All right. Are there any announcements before we leave?
Yes.
Yes.
Real quick, I would like to applaud the menorah lighting that we had during Hanukkah. All those that attended. I did not expect that level of energy and excitement. It was really cool to see the cyber truck that showed up with the menorah on the top with the music blaring. It was not something I thought. It was not on my bingo card. But we got a lot of attention on that. We were represented well. We had a great turnout. And this, again, this was at our parklet, which is, a passion project of our mayor, and it's our fruition now. It's come to fruition. We need to have more things like this. We have so many different aspects of our community that we need to highlight, and I appreciate the police being there to support and protect. And so I just wanted to thank everyone who attended, and I think it's gonna be a regular thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want everybody to be safe as they head home, because I know some of you have to drive. I know it's getting cold out, so please be safe. We want to make sure that all of council and our community members and our heads of staff, that they all make it home safely so that we can start our 2025 right. So I'm sitting here hoping that we get out in 2 seconds, so that you're able to start your trek home, and thank you for making this all possible for us.
If anyone left your car on, probably not.
Any other announcements?
So I will make a motion to adjourn
Second.
at 8:41 PM.
Second.
All right, all in favor of approving the motion as stated, say aye.
Aye.
Good night.
Fire committee. Could you?
No.
Please.